while you guys parade Gandhi around as a Hindu holiday called Chaitra Navratri starts off this week, I remind you that these holidays that we practice, that other people in the global south practice, believe in violent revolution against their oppressors. And I hope one day somebody brings the guillotine and kills all of you.
An activist in Bakersfield, California is now facing 16 felony counts after making severe and direct threats against local politicians while advocating for a ceasefire in Gaza. Now, before we get to more of what she had to say, the incident happened during a Bakersfield City Council meeting as discussions regarding the council's stance on a resolution for a ceasefire was underway. Now, they were also discussing increased security measures around government buildings in the area as a response to some of these pro-Palestinian demonstrations. Unfortunately, some of them have gotten heated and violent, and so they wanted to increase security, including implementing metal detectors in City Hall. That's when 28-year-old Riddhi Patel, the young woman that you just heard from, made the terrible decision to issue threats. Look, I'm not gonna hold back. Complete idiot for what she did. Someone that should be condemned for what she said, and she is, to be sure, suffering some consequences. She lashed out over the enhanced security measures at government buildings across the US following police cracking down on anti-Israel protests. So here's more of what she had to say and what led to her eventually getting arrested.
And you don't like when people come and hold you guys accountable for introducing ceasefire resolutions, because the only escalation in violence has been by you all. And so there's no need to continue. In the last 5 years I've attended city council meetings, there's never been metal detectors, there's never been more cops. The only reason you're doing it is because people actually don't care if you guys don't like them, and they're actually resisting, so you want to criminalize them. So regardless of whether you elect people into office, they'll backstab you, they'll let you die, and for that reason, you guys want to criminalize us with metal detectors? We'll see you at your house, we'll murder you.
We'll see you at your house, we'll murder you, which led to the mayor stepping in. This is Mayor Karen Go. Here's what she did to respond to the threat.
Ms. Patel, that was a threat, what you said at the end, and so the officers are going to escort you out and take care of that.
Pausing here to deliver some honest truth as we do in our news coverage as well. TYT is facing challenges, guys, as the entire industry is. You know who could make the difference? You. If you hit the join button below, it's gonna make all the difference and keep us in business. We appreciate you, thank you.
So just to clarify, I made a mistake. She's facing 18 felony counts. I'll give you the details on what those counts are in just a moment, but before I do, Cenk, am I being unfair when I say that these city council meetings shouldn't be used for resolutions on ceasefires in the Middle East? Like, that's number one. And number two, like, some of these activists have gotten way too emboldened where they think they can do and say anything with no consequence. Issuing a direct threat of murder against politicians is gonna get you in trouble, you moron. You absolute idiot. Like these wannabe revolutionaries who want to engage in violence, please stop, please stop, please stop. Because all they do is delegitimize anyone who's actually doing good advocacy on behalf of Palestinians in Gaza, right? Because they get lumped in with morons like this.
100%. So look, I'm actually mixed on the ceasefire resolutions. I think that rhetorically, it's at least a community saying that's the direction we'd like to go. Of course, it has no practical effect, but every little bit I think could help. So now, as you all know, I'm 100% in favor of a ceasefire, 100% in favor of Israel stopping all the bombings and offensive military actions in Gaza. I'm 100% against the occupation. Anyone who's seen me anywhere on TV knows that, right? But how does threatening to murder city officials in Bakersfield help that cause? It does the exact opposite. It's the most counterproductive thing I can imagine, let alone deeply illegal, let alone immoral. So where do you have the moral high ground when you say, can you believe Israel is unjustly killing people? And by the way, I'm gonna murder you. okay, there goes your moral high ground. And so, and in this particular case, look, this woman is obviously unhinged, right? So I think that the police should take the appropriate actions, and they have begun to do that, etc. But saying like, oh, you guys want metal detectors. I don't know why you think you need metal detectors. By the way, we're gonna murder you. Maybe that's why they need metal detectors.
I have no doubt that this woman would also turn around and point to January 6 rioters and demand that, the government throw the book at them for the threats that they issued against members of Congress on that day. But then why do you turn around and engage in the same behavior? Threatening people's lives with murder. We're gonna show up to your house and murder you because you're not behaving in a way that I prefer is insane, absolute insanity.
Yeah, so look, I'm worried that it's definitely not indicative of, to say that it's not indicative of all ceasefire activists, peace activists is the biggest understatement you can make. The overwhelming majority of ceasefire and peace activists are in favor of peace, and they don't want any civilian lives being killed in Israel or the occupied territories, etc. And using this one person as a way of smearing everyone else is totally inappropriate. At the same time as that action is totally inappropriate. Both things can be true at the same time. Now, there is something that Anna mentioned that's a little bit broader, not necessarily about Israel, where some activists in different cities feel like they're above the law. And brothers and sisters, you're not. I remember an activist threw a brick at the mayor of San Francisco.
London Breed, yep.
Yeah.
As she was doing a press conference outdoors, one of the activists grabs a brick and tries to throw it at her. Like, it's just, go ahead and stream Los Angeles City Council meetings. I mean, there are threats of violence, not as severe as what you just watched, but threats of violence against members of the Los Angeles City Council as well. It's just gotten too unhinged and out of control.
And ironically, it feels a little bit like what Israel's doing, which is, well, there's no accountability. I can do whatever I want.
Right.
I can threaten to kill you, I can do X, Y, and Z. And since I'm calling myself an activist, I have immunity. That's not really how it works. I love activists. We've had asked you guys to participate in 100 different things, and you saw us do it. And oftentimes, if it's large enough crowd, we actually bring trainers to show people how to do civil disobedience in a peaceful way, right? But you hurt the cause of peace, you hurt the cause of just actions when you do it in an unjust way. And then people then take you and then pretend that everyone is like you on that side.
Yeah.
It is unbelievably counterproductive.
So let's get to the charges that she's facing. So there's 18 felony counts and she does face years in prison. Charges against Patel include 10 counts of threatening with the intent to terrorize a public official, 5 city council members, the mayor, the city clerk, the assistant city clerk, the city attorney, and the city manager. She was also held on $1 million bail. During her arraignment on Friday, she was ordered to stay at least 500 feet away from City Hall. She also faces 8 counts of threatening specific public officials. That includes all but 2 of those at the meeting. The district attorney told Bakersfield.com that council members Bob Smith and Eric Arias are not considered victims because they did not feel threatened. Now on Friday, Patel appeared in court and tearfully pleaded not guilty to these felony counts, but the before and after is definitely jarring because she's sobbing in court and hopefully really rethinking her strategy and trying to accomplish what she wants to accomplish, politically speaking. But no, Cenk, look, to go back real quick to the LA City Council meetings being taken over by a foreign policy issue that the city councils have no impact on whatsoever. I hear you in wanting to put a message out there into the world about what a community really stands for. At the same time, local communities right now have other issues that are directly impacting people living in those local communities, okay? But instead you have activists taking over city council meetings with something that the city council has no control over whatsoever. So that's why I have a problem with it.
I hear you, but you know that part of the reason they're doing that is because the national politics is so broken.
I get it. That's where people feel like they have some degree of power.
Agency,
yes.
yes.
Some agency, some degree of power, but they also need to understand that their local communities are suffering from various other issues that the city council actually does have power over. And what I take issue with is how those meetings get overwhelmed by issues that they don't have any power over. You get what I'm saying?
I do. Last thing on Riddhi Patel. Look, first of all, $1 million bail and 18 felony counts. So
in California, of all places,
put a little fear of God in you and make you cry in court a little bit. And so I don't know which one's the genuine part, but I will say this: she's a civilian, and so the law should proceed exactly as it is now. You can't threaten to murder political officials, government officials. Otherwise, the right wing's going to do it. Now that she's on the left wing, now we're all threatening to murder government officials. That's a disastrous idea, and you cannot have two different standards. You can't say, oh, if right-wing militia members threaten to kill Democrats, then they're the worst and they should serve life in prison. But if a left-winger does it, then they should be free to go. No, you have to have the same principled standards.
Yeah.
Last thing is though, for the rest of us, she's gonna have to deal with that on her own, and those are very serious charges. But from here on out, I'm done with her. Like, I don't need to shame her more. I don't need to, like, if she's genuinely distraught about what happened, I don't need to celebrate that. And so, yeah.
Listen,
and maybe she just made a mistake, like a horrible, horrible mistake. But that's for her and the courts to deal with. Like I said, I just don't need to pile on anymore, other than saying she's 100% wrong.
Yeah, I'm gonna pile on a little more. If you want to make a case for not implementing metal detectors and extra security, maybe reconsider issuing direct death threats toward local politicians. Because once you do that, it totally erases any case that she might want to make about the use of metal detectors. You get what I'm saying? I'm done. I'm done piling on.
No, I understand. And like I said, look, let the jury decide who's right and wrong in this particular case. But you don't have two standards. If you say it's okay for her to walk, then you have to say it's okay for right-wing militia members to walk when they threaten to murder Mike Pence or anyone else, or Nancy Pelosi. If you enjoyed this video, that's because of our members. They make us independent, they make us strong, and they make us honest. Become a member today by hitting the join button below.